I have no idea what just happened there. It just shut off. So the door was closed, and he was, where he was lying on the floor, he was like lying right in front of the door. So, and again, I don't know how I did it. The one paramedic, or both of them, I guess, were pushing on the front door, trying to force him across the floor, in order to get through the door. And I had him by both arms, and we're both trying to, move him enough, that they and their, bags of medical equipment could get through the door. So, we managed to do that, and I think it was more them pushing than me. I mean, I don't have that much physical strength anymore, and to think once upon a time I used to lift people that weighed 300 pounds every day, almost, like, whatever. But anyways, that's something different. So we managed to get him moved enough, so that they could come in the door, and he's still just, sort of madly spinning and flailing on the floor, and he keeps saying wah, wah, wah over and over again. And I could tell that he was trying to find me, because everything's just whirling, and he can hear my voice. And he told me this afterwards. He said, I could hear your voice. And he said, oh my God, this is hard, guys. He said he could hear my voice, and he felt like if he could just find my face, that everything would stop spinning, and then he would be okay. So anyway, there's a funny spot here. So the paramedics came in, and immediately started tending to him. And the younger of the two paramedics says to me, "How old is your dad?" Oh my friggin' God. And I said to him, "This is my husband." Like I'm in a flat out panic, obviously. And he goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I never thought about it until, it was probably, oh gosh, a week later before I even remembered that. And at the time, of course, it was neither funny nor angering, nor it was nothing. It was just, this is my husband. Like, why would you even ask me how old is my dad? So I thought that was quite funny. And I was, when you think about it, hey, oh geez, sorry guys. Oh, ow. When you think about it, that's pretty flattering. He thought my husband was my dad. Oh, that's cute. And it was funny because my husband's son had said something one time. He had started dating a girl that was a bit younger than him or something, and pardon me, my husband had said to him, "Don't you think she's a little young for you, buddy?" Like he was just, joking around with him. And Ryan says to him, "Well, Kelly's a lot younger than you, Dad." And he's like, "No, she's not. Like, why do you think that?" And he said, "Well, isn't there like a lot of years between you two?" And he's like, no. I was born in 64. My husband was born in 61. So we are 3 years, 3 months, and minus a couple of days apart. So yeah, no, he's the same age as my next older than me sister. So we're like 3 years and a couple of months apart, that's a pretty standard, difference in age. But anyways, yeah, how old is your father? How old is your dad? He says. So, yeah, so they got things, figured out, and they put him on the chair, rather than the stretcher. There's like another apparatus that they use to get people up and down stairs. And even though there is only, 4 or 5 steps, to get, down off of our deck, as I said, still, it's for the patient's safety and for their own safety as well. These guys are not going to hurt themselves. I know all about that, right? It's all about the body mechanics. Oh God, guys, I'm telling you, I don't know, man. Ugh. I'm stiff. It must be the weather, or just me. I don't know. But anyway, so they got him down, they got him outside, they were loading him in the ambulance, and they were taking a few minutes just getting him, sort of steady and figured out. And the older of the paramedics said to me, did you want to come in the ambulance with us? You're more than welcome to. And I said, but he said to me, "I will tell you this, your husband doesn't look very good. And I think, we're going to take him into, our nearest town here to us, to the hospital. And I have a feeling that he probably won't be there long, and that they will ship him out to, you know, a bigger hospital. So it would be either, you know, Peterborough Regional or down to Toronto, which is, you know, 2 hours away. And I said to him, I said, well, no, I want to come in the ambulance. Obviously, I don't want him out of my sight for 3 seconds. But I'm kind of afraid to, because if I get in the ambulance and then they decide that they're transporting him, I'm going to be kind of stuck. Like, what do? I don't, you know, I don't have a car. I can't follow, you know, where you're taking him. So he said, yeah. I said, good. That's a good thought. And, you know, the last thing I was thinking was calling anybody to come and, you know, pick me up or anything. So, I said to him, there's two, I don't know why, I have no idea, again, crazy shit that comes out of your mouth in a time of great stress and fear. I said, there's 2 buckets of water in the trunk of my car and I can't lift them. So the one paramedic says to me, don't worry, dear, I'll get them for you. And he took the 2 buckets of water out and he sat them on my front lawn. And that's where they sat until Fonz came home from the hospital 9 days later. This is where the miracle stuff comes in about the 9-day thing, but that's yet to come. So anyway, so I ran back in the house. I threw some clothes on. I put the dog in her kennel and just grabbed my purse, my keys, and off I went, right? And he had said to me, they were still getting him, you know, comfortable and fixated, situated in the ambulance when I said, I'm just going to run in and throw some clothes on and I'm, you know, we're gone, right? So, yeah, so I just threw on whatever and put the dog in her kennel really quickly and I ran back out, and the one paramedic that was driving was the older fella, and I said, okay, I said, I'll follow you. And he said, don't try to keep up with us. Do not try to keep up with us because I'm a-going, right? So you come down to the bottom of the hill. As I said, you know, the highway is right there. And then they're going that way, right? Making a left, you know, at the bottom of her hill. So they pulled away. I pulled away right behind them. As soon as the tires started rolling, they flicked on those sirens. Boy, let me tell you. And he was at the bottom of the hill before I'd even crested the top of the hill. And then, of course, you know, like he obviously has to stop and make sure nothing's coming. But this is an ambulance with lights and sirens just to go in. So if anything's coming, y'all better stop because he's coming out, right? So anyway, there was nothing coming. Of course, there was such quiet morning. And so he made his left, and then you have to sort of go up a hill. If you're headed in that direction, and then it's flat for a while, right? So he went up the hill. I was still at the stoplight making my left. I made my left, and by the time I got to the top of the hill, which would be like literally, I don't know, 45 seconds later, they were just a flickering light in the distance, and I could barely even hear the siren. Like, he tromped it. He must have been doing a $130, $140 all the way into town. And as he said, you know, don't try to keep up with me. So that was the longest drive of my life. Following that, well, not following it, the ambulance disappeared. And as I was driving, of course, as I said, we have Bluetooth, and I called my husband's son, first person, and said, you know, and I was obviously, I'm out of my mind, crying my eyes out. I can hardly see where I'm driving. And I said, Ryan, it's Dad. He's had a stroke. And it looks really bad, buddy. It looks really, really bad. And he said, well, how bad is he, Kelly? And I said, sweetheart, I don't even know if he's alive in that ambulance in front of me. Like, well, not in front of me, gone, right? So that was really, really hard. And then I got to the hospital. It's if you're driving, like, you know, the speed limit and a normal speed, it's like a half an hour away. They probably made it there in probably 10 minutes, I bet. 10, 15 minutes. But I mean, it's an ambulance. They're booking it, and there was nothing on the roads. Nothing on the roads. So I mean, they probably made her there pretty quick. As a matter of fact, by the time I got there, there was no ambulance in the ambulance bay at the emerge department where you would see an ambulance parked. They had already brought him in, dropped him off, and left again. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to thank them. But So I went in and parked the car, ran in, and of course I'm hysterical. And there was a lady there that was more like a volunteer, you know, just kind of, you know, helping. And she came up to me and she said, "Oh, hi dear, are you okay? Can I help you with something?" And I said, "My husband was brought in by ambulance. He was having a stroke. He's, you know," and I'm just a mess. And she said, "What's the name?" And I told her, and she said, "Just one moment, dear, and I'll check for you." So of course I'm just, oh. And she came back and she said, "The doctors are working on him, and they can't let you go back there right now." And I understand that. I know how it works. And I mean, the last thing you need is somebody's hysterical spouse in the way, for Christ's sakes. They're trying to stabilize this man. I mean, he's in bad shape. And so I think it really, honestly, it was only about 20 minutes, I think, before I was allowed to go back and see him. But it felt like 20 years. It was a really long time. And I'm pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing. And I can't, like, things are so fuzzy. I can't remember if I called my daughter then or if I called one of his sisters. I can't remember. I can't remember if I called my mom. Like, my husband's parents are deceased, and I don't know. I know that I called his son first. After that, I'm not sure in which order I started calling people, but I started calling people, obviously. And of course I was there all by myself. So it was tough. It was tough. And finally they came out and said that you can come in and see him. So I think we'll pause there. And I promised Fonts that if he wasn't sitting, you know, right here beside me, which he's not, he's out playing in his toy box, the garage, the man cave, that I wouldn't hit publish on anything until he had sat down and watched it, and that he was comfortable with, you know, with what I had to say. Because as I said, there were a few things that he asked me not to get, you know, into too much detail. And, you know, one of them being anything to do with finances or money or anything. And as I said in my earlier videos, obviously, both of us used to have full-time jobs and worked for a living, and now we don't. So we'll just leave that lying there. And as I said, I mean, I'm certainly not going to discuss dollars and cents and our financial situation at all with anyone, but, and certainly not online. You know, there was a few things that he had asked me not to get too in-depth on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pause, and I'm going to go feed him some supper. And I'm going to let him have a look at what we've done so far. Okay, guys? So thanks for, you know, watching me ugly cry again. We'll be back in a little while. Okay?